Hello, everybody. I'm Sripad, and I'm with Dr. Anil Sangli, consultant neuro and spine surgeon. Today, we have an interesting topic: brain, music, emotions, and Vedantha. Doctor, can you define the relationship between brain, music, and emotions?
Brain is a very fascinating organ.
Hmm.
It is a seat of emotions. When you talk of brain and emotions, there are a lot of things that are intricately involved with it. One is the limbic system. When I talk of the limbic system, there are many components of the limbic system, like the arcuate fasciculus, the hippocampus, the parahippocampus, the cingulate gyrus, and so many things. Each and every part of the limbic system has got its own function, and we exactly do not know how much of the function is associated to which part of the brain of the limbic system.
Mhm.
When you talk of emotions, there are so many things. The most common thing which we find are the happiness, sadness, fear, anger, anxiety. Since each and every part of our individual's activity depend on emotions, the brain overall has got a very important structure with relation to the emotions.
Mhm.
The most important component that is triggering or which elicits the different types of emotions are the visual pathway and the auditory pathway. When I talk of the visual pathway, when you see something, the impulses from the eyes go to the visual cortex, which are situated in the occipital lobe. When you hear something, it goes to the auditory pathway into the auditory cortex. When they reach the auditory and the visual pathway, that is, for example, which we see in our normal daily lives. One person is talking, as at the same time you see him. I'll give you another example. You are in a big auditorium. You're seeing a big drama that is going on. Many people are enacting. Many people are giving the dialogues. At the same time, they may be singing also. When the audience see a person who is enacting, at that particular moment, immediately the moment he gives his dialogue, immediately he moves or does something. You can see him and you can hear him also. At the same time, you will understand what he is trying to tell you or what his dialogue delivery is. That is the capacity of the mind. That means there is no lag between what he does and what you assimilate. This is very, very important, and it is one of the most important functions of the brain. So, when the visual and auditory impulses enter the brain, they go through a pathway within the brain stem. The brain stem comprises of the midbrain, the pons, and the medulla, which continues down as the spinal cord. In the brain stem, that too in the midbrain, all these impulses go together and then enter into the sensory relay station of the brain. That means it's the seat of all the sensations where it is received. All the sensory impulses, whether it is touch, whether it is vision, whether it is hearing, whether it is a smell, all these things enter into the thalamus. So it's called as a sensory relay station. From the thalamus, it then diverts into different areas of the brain, whether it goes to the frontal lobe, occipital lobe, temporal lobe, or parietal lobe, wherever, and also to the limbic system. So, depending on what you see, depending on what you hear, the emotions are evoked. And in music, the emotions that are evoked, especially with different types of music, are different. So, through this pathway, when the music enters into the brain, or when the impulses of vision as well as the hearing enters into the brain, they will evoke different types of emotions depending on the pitch, timbre, rhythm, melody, the quality of the song, the person who is singing, with what expression he is singing, and what is the lyrical content of the song. All these things matter. And the very important concept that they have found out is the pathway is of two types. One is the different components of the music or of the speech are processed in different areas of the brain. For example, the pitch and timbre goes on the right side and the rhythm goes on the left side. They process in different areas simultaneously, and then they are made assimilated in the thalamus, and it's then circulated on to different areas of the brain. Mhm. So this is a very important, very wonderful structure that is
Very
and the
nice.
function of the brain.
Doctor, but where is the thing known as emotion? From where does emotion comes from?
No, when you hear and listen to all these things, the
Mm.
emotions are when the impulses go to the limbic system,
Mm.
various hormones are released.
Mm.
If you are thinking of some very happy things or listening to a happy song, your mood becomes elated.
Mm.
Then the various types of happy hormones like a dopamine or serotonin or oxytocin are secreted.
Mm.
If you are very sad, it's a different type of a hormone. If you're feeling sleepy, it's different hormone.
Mm.
And depending on that state of your mind, the various states of your consciousness are also determined.
Mm-hmm.
For example, if you are lying down or sleeping, you may be in a REM or an NREM sleep. That means you may be in a rapid eye movement sleep, that is called REM, or non-rapid eye movement sleep, where you may or may not have dreams during that part of the sleep. When you are awake and relaxed, you will have an alpha rhythm in the EEG. When you are alert, you will see a beta rhythm in the EEG. When you are very, very conscious, extremely agitated, it will be a gamma rhythm. So, depending on different types of the alertness of the brain, you have different types of waves that are being produced in the brain.
Yeah, probably I think, Doctor, here the part of Vedanta comes in. According to the Mandukya Upanishad, we have what is known as avasthas. There is the states of consciousness. That includes Jagrata, Swapna, Sushupta, Turiya, and Turyatita. These are the five states of consciousness. And they are represented by Vishwa, Tejasa, Prajna, and Turiya and Turyatita state. And all these are seated within our body itself, maybe in the brain or whatever it is, but it is related to Om. So there might be a relationship between the way Om is chanted and the states of consciousness. So
Okay.
Mandukya Upanishad is the Upanishad. It is the shortest Upanishad that we have, which explains Om.
Mhm.
Now coming to this point, we know that Om has got a Uma.
Okay.
These are three
The
syllables.
components of the Om.
Three. But it consists of the bindu and other. Totally, it has got 8 organs. It is said. That is 8 limbs of Om are different.
Okay.
That includes Nada, Kala, Kalatita, and Shakti. Apart from the Uma and the Bindu. Uma are 3 different syllables. If I say it has got a particular time in which I'll be pronouncing it. But if I extend it along, that is, if I use the Dirgha Swara, for example, is having, let us say, the time x. If I say plus a, it will be x plus x. That is, if I use x plus x, it is plus a plus a. So when you add one syllable to the other, the way you pronounce is relative to the time that you're taking to pronounce it. But in the case of Om, it's a bit magical. If I say and oo and ma together, I get a single syllable.
Okay.
This it sounds as though it is a single syllable.
But you're combining all the 3 components of a, o, and ma.
But if I use some other thing, for example, plus e, it is I. Plus I, it takes the its own time as it is designated for these 2 syllables. And if you use the letter A, the letter U, and the letter Ma, it emanates from different parts of the body. We'll do an experiment. Can you just sit straight and chant
Okay.
till you can hold your breath? Okay. Do you feel the vibration?
Yeah.
In which part of the body?
Yeah.
Okay. Now we'll come to the second syllable. Ooh.
Okay.
Okay, you feel the vibration in the throat area. Then okay, where do you find the vibration?
All of the sinuses in the face. I feel
so the vibration emanate from this, and this area if we chant it separately. If I combine it,
You feel like it is going from here and then slowly coming out.
Yeah.
So the time you're pronouncing the ah and the oo, it will be here, and the ma, it will come.
It's
here.
simultaneous, and you don't have any hindrance in saying this. That is, it directly starts here and ends in your nasal cavity. It exits out of the nasal cavity. That is, the vibration are very broad in this area, chest area, funnels out to your throat, and then exits to your nasal cavity. But there is no hindrance. If I take only the aksharas, that is the alphabets of the Indian system or the Sanskrit, you have a, e, it emanates from one part of your throat. Then ka, ka, ga, ga, cha, 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 nya, ta. So each has got a
They're
specific
actually called
placements.
gutturals, palatals, linguals, labials,
So
depending on the way.
they are placed in an order. But Om, you can feel the vibration
Except
right
you're
from
touching of your lips here, everything is just coming out.
directly. It's coming out. So probably this has got a relation to the state of consciousness that we are speaking of. According to Shastras, banyan tree has got its root in the top and branches in the bottom.
Correct.
So that is Urdhva Moolam Adashakam. That is what Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. That can be compared to the human brain and the nervous system.
Roots are at the top,
Yeah.
branches are below.
Yeah, the nervous system
Because
branches.
they're all propris roots. That is, the roots come from the top and then go into the ground from the top to the bottom.
Yeah.
That's the only tree which has it that way. In the nervous system, I think if you check the brain and the spinal cord, if you take off all the components, and we have that sort of a dissections in the anatomy, like you have only the brain with all the cranial nerves and the spinal cord with the spinal nerves. There are 12 pairs of cranial nerves, 12 on each side, and there are 33 pairs of spinal nerves, that is cervical, dorsal, lumbar, and the sacropoccygeal. So 33 pairs of spinal nerves plus 12 pairs of cranial nerves on one side and the same on the opposite side. So that many number of cranial nerves and the spinal nerves which come down and then transmit and branches out to all other parts of the body. So probably the root is at that point, at the brain
and the
spinal cord. Branches come out from here.
Yeah,
so
that's why
that is similar to the top.
Yeah, and that's why we have a sloka for this. That is for the banyan tree. Mulato Brahmarupaya, Madhyato Vishnu Rupine, Agrata Shiva Rupaya, Vruksharajayanti Namah. That is, if we compare our nervous system to the banyan tree, that is the Ashwatha Vruksha, the Brahma Sthana is this, then the Vishnu Sthana is this, and Shiva Sthana is this.
Okay.
Brahma Sthana also means that it is a thing which expands. Brahma also means expansion. So here the vibration will expand. It's in an area where you can feel the vibration from here to here. And Vishnu, it funnels out in this. That is, it stays in this. Your voice comes from this portion, even though the vibration is here. Your throat involvement is there.
Yeah.
So that is the existence part. Brahma is the Srishtikarta. Vishnu is the Sthitikarta. Then it exits here. There is the Shiva. So Mulato Brahma Rupaya, Madhyato Vishnu Rupine, Agrata Shiva Rupaya, Vruksharajaiti Namah. Now,
so you can compare the brain and the spinal cord to the banyan tree, and the different levels of the banyan tree, Brahma, Vishnu, and the Maheshwara, from the bottom, middle, and the top.
See what happens in the body. Each and every second there will be some Srishti, Sthiti, and Laya.
Each and every second.
Refraction of a second. Your blood will be moving.
Blood cells, there is a definite period for each and every cell for its life. For example, the red blood cells stay in your body for 120 days. That is about 3 months. So once a blood cell is takes its origin from the bone marrow, it circulates in the body for a period of 3 months and then dies. Then it is excreted via the spleen or via the reticuloendothelial system, and then it goes out of the body. In the meanwhile, every day there are some cells which are being born and being.
It's not the question of days.
So that Srishti and Sthiti and Laya will be constant.
Yeah, that will be going on even in our bodies. Okay. So that's why it's known as Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara. And if you take the Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti Avastha also, Jagrat is the state of being awake.
Okay.
Swapna is, then we have the Sushupta Avastha where you are into a deep sleep.
Okay.
Then we have the transcendental state that is known as the Turiya. And the Turiyatita is one beyond all this which encompasses all this.
Okay.
So if you see this, the vibrations emanating from chanting Om, this is broader. It goes like this and it ends up in this. So you have the shape of a pyramid here. Okay. And the soul or the jiva is considered to be Chaitanya. Chaitanya means it has got a flame or current in it. That is, it's known as the Divya Sthana. The jiva is known as the divine.
It's like an
Energy, and it's in its original shape is in the form of a flame.
Okay.
And if you take this geometric figure, you can feel the shape of a flame here. Just as you see in a candle or in a diya, you can see the flame. The same thing happens if you chant Om. And this is the prajna, that is the laya sthiti, where the ma-kara exits. And this is the place where it is, where the third eye is situated as per the Shastras.
Okay.
That is the laya. That is, if you go on meditating, your position will be in between the eyebrows. Okay. Or on the tip of your nose. So this is the place where we say that is the state of Turiya. This is the Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara. Brahma is the state of being awake. That's why we have the Brahmi Muhurta. That is, if you get up in the morning and do your work, the oxygen will also be very high at that point of time, and your vibrations will be very, you will have a positive vibration during that period of time. That is one thing. And this takes the shape of a pyramid. Here it's broader, it goes a bit narrower here, and then it exits out. So you have the peak over here. This is the place where the Brukuti Madhya, that is known as the place in between the eyebrows. So that is the place where most of the people who do meditation, that is transcendental meditation or Samadhi Sthiti, they attain that state because they concentrate or meditate upon a thing over and over again. Mm-hmm. And for which you require this place. Mm-hmm. And this is not only the state of Srishti Sthiti Laya, but there is something beyond that. That is known as the Turiya and Turiyatita. So these states, and if you take the form of way in which the Om is said, it also takes the shape of a flame. Okay. So this flame is nothing but the divine soul within us. Mm-hmm. Therefore, when we say namaskara to any other person, it's not only the person we see as a body, it's the divine soul within it and the divinity within it, which is the Brahma or the Vishnu or the Maheshwara. Okay. That's why we say namaskara or namaskaram, which means namu prahvatve shabdecha. That is, you are bowing to the divine soul within the other person. And you're taking the shape of a flame. This is the shape of a flame.
Again, this way.
Yeah. And this is the shape of the Gopuram we find in the temples. Oh. It is broader, it goes a bit narrower, and it ends in the Kalasha. So this is also the shape of the Gopurams we find on the temples. That's one of the essence of having the Gopura in that style. And that is the reason why we put bindi on this area. Mm-hmm. The bindi always is said to be in the shape of a flame. Okay. It should be, that is whoever, whether it's a man or...
We are dealing almost everything in the shape of flame. One is the heart, one is the origin and the sustenance and the expression of the Om, and the way in which you do namaskara, and the way in which the
Gopurams are there. Yeah. Therefore, whatever we do, there are different states of consciousness, and in each states of consciousness, there is an element of divinity that is going into it. And this is the aspect of Vedanta in brief. So if you come to this
from the Om, you said in the Brahmi Muhurta, when you wake up, that is Brahmi Muhurta, waking up at that stage. Brahmi Muhurta, I believe, is about 4 o'clock, 4:30.
Around 3:30.
Around that time. Yeah.
So that is a state just prior to Arunodaya Kala.
That is a state where your mind is very relaxed. And you are awake. You are not dreaming, unless you have not had a proper sleep. Type of assimilation of knowledge at that particular point of time is very good, because you are very fresh after a good night's sleep. If you say Om, there are, I just remember two types of
Doctor,
studies.
Sorry to interrupt. I think the oxygen content in the environment will also be very high at that point of time.
Yes, because the peak of the oxygen levels in the atmosphere is maximum at between 3 and 5. And if you say Om, they have done studies that itself will increase your brain's oxygen level. Oh, there's one little girl about 14 years when she had done this 4-5 years ago. in Calcutta. She has done it with one of her physics and
Anil
Roy Chaudhary,
Okay.
physiology professors. She has found that uttering the syllable Om will increase the oxygenation levels of the brain. There is yet another study done in NIMHANS where they have put in the various EEG leads and done a spectral analysis of a person, several persons, and they have been uttering or chanting Om at that point of time, and they have even done a functional MRI study or an fMRI. They have found at that particular point when they keep on chanting that, over a period of time, that is say about 5-10 minutes later, they have found the limbic system gets deactivated. There is a increase. Deactivated. There is an increase in the blood supply to the different areas of the limbic system. That is near the parahippocampus, hippocampus, the cingulate gyrus. Deactivation in the sense, it is not in a negative sense. When the limbic system gets deactivated, all the negative type of hormones will reduce, positive type of hormones will increase. So the serotonin and oxytocin levels will improve, and the cortisol levels and other things will come down. And that is the same time when the peak cortisol levels are also checked out. Early morning cortisol levels to find out the cortisol levels in the body at around early morning 7:30, 8 o'clock, we check the cortisol level. So oxygenation levels in the brain and the person who are chanting Om, the deactivation of the limbic system, and they also found the EEG leads at that point were most often in the theta rhythm or in the alpha. That is, they are in a state of relaxation and they are yet very aware and alert. So at that point, so if you say Om, you are not only relaxed, relaxation with alertness and awareness.
It is the scientific.
It is not a sleepy state. When you are relaxed, you may sleep also, but you are relaxed and alert and awake. So that is the point where your mind will be very receptive to any sort of knowledge.
Probably that's the reason why I think the Jiva is also compared to a Agni. Jivagni. When you start a car, we have heard the word ignition, ignite. That has come from the Sanskrit word Agni. So what does Agni mean is, whatever you give, it eats. It swallows. And Agni has got another synonym. There are so many synonyms. If I take one of them, it is Anala. Anala means whatever you put into it, it says I'm not satisfied. It means it consumes anything. So I think we can use this from a positive point of view. We do so many activities.
Your knowledge should be unlimited, and it should never be satisfied with any sort of knowledge.
One thing, and whatever positive or negative aspects we encounter in our lives, negative should be eaten up, swallowed up. We should not think of any other thing. And positive, we should say, no, I'm not satisfied.
With excessive knowledge.
Yeah. So I think Agni represents both consuming as well. There is a positive as well as the negative point in this. The emotional aspect of Om is the basis for our Samaveda. And Samaveda is one part of the four Vedas, and Om encapsulates the whole of the four Vedas. So if I say Om, it means that I am chanting all the Vedas, provided I have the knowledge. Otherwise, even without any knowledge, if you say Om, it has got its own effects. And this is the basis for music. And we know that music has an impact on the emotion. And if you remember, we had given therapy to one of the patients who had got a lot of depression for 14 or 15 sessions we had given. And she was in such a deep anxiety because of her family trauma. And
the patient had a lot of problems. She was very well to do, and suddenly there was some problem in the family, and she could never come out of that problem. And later on, patient was on multiple drugs also.
And she could not speak properly.
She had kept on crying, no good sleep, and her whole biological rhythm was altered. You remember, you tried so many types of music, so many types of instrumental music and vocal and ragas. And one thing, probably after 14 or 15 sessions, there was one day when she sort of responded to this type of a raga. And then from that day onwards, she had a better course.
Shall I play that?
I think we should play that and show the audience.
I'll do that.
You please listen to what Sripad plays on the veena. But this was the jumping notes.
We tried many ragas, and for this I think she...
little melancholious which you gave for her.
This was in the initial
She
stages.
actually started crying at this.
This and the other, I'll just play this.
There was yet another where you were giving facial expressions and then doing it.
Yeah, that's. I think I had given this tune for nearly 4 or 5 sessions in between. That is, I had to switch over from one
type
to
of
the another. And for this, she used to cry. So I used to give facial expressions so that she could come out of that fear or anxiety, whatever she had. And later on, she told that this had a very good impact on her. And I'm going to repeat it again. This is just a recreation.
So viewers, this was a very interesting session about brain, music, emotions and Vedanta. Here the brain, as I told you, is a seat of emotions. You can evoke any sort of emotion in your brain by an external stimulus, as well as various types of emotions keep coming from within you. And music is a very good medium to bring about or evoke the such sort of emotions, and you can play around with the limbic system because that is the seat of all emotions, and you can trigger any sort of emotion. If you do not want a sad emotion, you can start with a happy emotion, a happy note, and then you can bring about that sort of an emotion. That is the power of music. And like how Sripad explained about the different aspects of Vedanta and different aspects of the conscious states which are explained in the Mandukya Upanishad, there is nothing wrong in taking all the good things which we have in our Indian tradition. So these are all very, very important things which are being found out by scientific proofs that there is some sort of a relevance to what we see and what we experience. Thank you very much, and we shall see you again in the next session.
Thank you.
Good day.